2-point perspective. Intro. So what we have in 2-point perspective, so you don't need to worry about drawing it for me right now, is in 1-point perspective, it works really well when we've got the vanishing point in the middle. I'll put up a couple examples of this. Okay. As it moves to the side, so here it is. This is upside down. Okay. There's our vanishing point right there in the middle. All the lines are going there. Okay? And we walked around the room. We saw how this goes to the vanishing point. This is another good one. Dead center. Pretty much dead center. And yes, it can move. As we move toward a vanishing point, that level line, the horizontal lines in here make less sense. Visually, they stop working so well. So here's what we've got going on. We're going to have a horizon, and we're going to have a vanishing point on each far end of this horizon. So we're going to do this lightly, keep kind of level. I'm going to have a vanishing point over here and one over here. Now, I don't want this to look too cartoony, and trust me, we want to just keep it kind of small in here. Okay, so go ahead and do this along with me. We're not going to get much bigger than this because the vanishing points visually should be like out to the edge of your eyeballs. That's where your vanishing points actually are as far as 2-point perspective. It is, don't worry about the oval. I'm just saying that's where our drawing's going to be, mostly. So we're not going to make things too big, otherwise it looks really, really comic book cartoony. Okay? So we're going to do this. This is going to be a building, and we're just going to go kind of right. Hopefully this is going to be kind of skyscraper stuff. It doesn't have to be dead center, and that's the beauty of this. It does not have to be dead center, and let's make it not. We're going to go over to the side here. Now we know that this is the horizon is still my eye level. And I'm going to use that vanishing point, and we're going to draw a lines toward it. And we're going to kind of stick within that oval there. If you see that oval, I'm going to make these nice and dark. So I've got lines. This could be, we can just make this a box. Let's just start with simple and make it a box. You can make it a city square. Well, let's just make it a great big cube of a building. How do we know it's a building and not just a box? We don't really, but a good way to indicate that is that the eye level, it's above and below eye level. If it's just above eye level, it's a box floating above us. If it's just below, it's a box below us, generally. But if it's above and below, that's a pretty darn big box. Big darn box? Darn big box? I don't know. And this line needs to be straight up and down, and it wasn't, so I'm going to fix it. Can you find other tutorials of this on the YouTube? You sure can, and some of them are very good, I'm sure. I've watched a few just in preparation. But are they made for you specifically? Okay, so here's where people get into issues. The lines tilt. So try to fix the tilting. Lines don't look so great when they're tilting in 1-point perspective or 2-point perspective, as we're doing right now. So there we go, that's a little better. Here's the big issue, yes?
I'd like to point out that right here, there's a very good example of 2-point perspective.
Excellent. Right, there and there. Yes, in the room, and this place is full of them. If you look at the ceiling tiles, look up the ceiling tiles straight down, that's 1-point perspective, especially if you turn the other way. If you look at the corner, that's 2-point perspective. Do you see it? See how they cross? Okay, here's a mistake that people make. I always like to point out the mistakes because all of you are going to make them. Not all of you. Most of you. Here's where the issue is. This happens. A line that's drawn up like this goes like this. What is wrong with this? Well, nothing yet. Nothing yet. But if I follow these two lines, it's just like a picture you're copying to the vanishing point, and a lot of times 2-point perspective, I'm going to go like this. This one goes up here like this somewhere. I'm going to hold that still. And this one goes out here. That's actually my vanishing point now on my desk. I'll put my little eraser there. There it is. That's my actual vanishing point for that line. Now, I'm not, so that's not the, that's a bad thing. That doesn't work. Unless you've decided to put your vanishing points on your desk, which is absolutely a good thing to do if you want to do that. But then it starts moving around. So do not make up the distances of things. This line, the height of this line is determined by that dot. Let me say that again. How tall this line is, the height of this line is determined by that dot. I put this ruler on this line. Go up to here. And that's how tall that line needs to be. Does this make sense? Okay, good, do that. And then we have this wall over here, comes up this way. There again, the height of this, I'm just guessing. I'm going to clean it up here in just a moment. But the height of that line is determined by that dot. So I'm going to bring it up to this one and draw that. Now I have a box that is in 2-point perspective. Visually, does this make sense? No? Like, do you does it look like a box to you? A great big cube. Yes, sir.
From the perspective of a 2D shape, it looks like a coffin.
Sure. Coffin. Coffins are generally done in 2-point perspective, depending on where your association to it is. Interior of it is really different, I'll have to tell you.
I mean, if it's a butcher shop, it's pretty simple.
Right. So we're going to draw an opening in here, a great big opening in this. We're going to make a line here. The angle of the top of that, the opening of this is going to be our doorway. You could drive a truck through here, I guess. I'm going to use that dot for the angle of that. Again, this is where people, they invent this angle of this line because they'll draw two angles. This one should be vertical. And I'm going to clean up the edge here. So this is going to be a really big opening. Why does it look big? It looks big because these angles are quite angled, because our vanishing points feel like they're close. If vanishing points are close, it makes it appear like it's taller. So we're going to make the wall. This angle here, this dot here, are you with me? I'll make sure you all have it. I will help you. Just let me get through this and I'll help you in a few moments. So this dot here, okay, we've got this line. This is the top. The top of this angle here is not parallel to that. It is not parallel with the horizon. It points to the vanishing point. Good. This line, we no longer have just horizontal lines. That rule has changed because we're no longer in 1-point perspective. We're in 2-point perspective land, and we don't get horizontal lines unless something is dead on the horizon. I mean, absolutely spot on the horizon. Then it's level. Otherwise, we're using our vanishing points. And here we go. We're going to make a tunnel through this. Bam. Okay, you can see the tunnel. Do you see it? One line has to point at the vanishing point. You don't get to decide the angle of that line. I'm going to come by with a red marker in a minute. Probably not red. Maybe red. I know that's gone out of fashion to use red marker. I don't know. Maybe orange? Orange? Or like a magenta color? Okay, we're going to do the same at the top line. These are not level lines. Okay, so here's the weird thing about perspective. We have the illusion of things moving parallel, except those lines intersect, and they intersect at vanishing points. That is the definition. We don't actually get to have parallel lines unless they're vertical. Vertical lines are parallel in this. What's that? They're not. In 3-point perspective is a whole different thing, and we can well, it depends on which version of it you're doing. So in some 3-point perspective, you can have vertical lines. In some, when we start to approach 5-point perspective, which you need a lot of space to do 5-point perspective. It's 5-point perspective. It's like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5-point perspective. Usually 5-point perspective is a fishbowl lens sort of thing. You're looking at something. It's so big that you get to see it like some of those panoramic shots with your cameras. We don't actually see in 5-point perspective, but if you're doing a large mural, it can be useful to convey the sense of hugeness. Do we understand this? Okay, I'm going to put my name on this and set this aside, and I'm going to check on your guys' work, make sure you've got it. And this should be lesson number 9.